If you want to master a new skill, the absolute worst thing you can do on day one is, well, try to be good at it.
Oh, definitely.
Right. Like if you aren't actively practicing how to sound a little bit silly, you're basically setting yourself up to fail.
Yeah, it sounds totally backwards considering how obsessed we all are with, optimization and immediate proficiency.
Oh, 100%.
But when you actually examine how humans internalize new information, striving for early perfection is literally the fastest route to burnout.
Which brings us to today's deep dive.
Right.
We are looking at a piece of source material that, on the surface, looks completely unassuming.
Extremely basic at first glance.
Exactly. It is a transcript of a conversational script designed to teach English. It's just a simple dialogue between two characters catching up after a long time.
Right, and that simplicity is, it's a Trojan horse.
Yeah.
While it presents itself as a basic language learning tool, the underlying architecture of this conversation is actually a highly sophisticated framework.
A framework for what, exactly?
Well, for human connection, navigating the fear of failure, and structuring the acquisition of literally any complex.
So by immediately validating that, hey, life is hard, the script is intentionally lowering that effective filter.
Precisely.
It's telling you, you don't have to have it all together to be here. Like they even get specific about morning routines.
I love that part.
One character mentions waking up at 8 a.m., noting that some people wake up at 5 a.m., to which the immediate response is, that can never be me.
It's so relatable.
Right. Then they bond over that universal habit of waking up, making tea, and instantly checking their phones in bed.
What's fascinating here is how deliberately anti-aspirational that opening is.
Oh, that's a great way to put it. Anti-aspirational.
Yeah, because we are constantly bombarded by the myth of the hyperproductive learner. The person who wakes up at 4:30 a.m., takes an ice bath, and studies for 3 hours before dawn.
Yeah. Just hearing that makes me tired.
Right. So by having the characters openly reject that model and admit to scrolling on their phones in bed, the script dismantles that intimidation factor.
It levels the playing field.
Exactly. It creates an environment where your brain doesn't feel the need to defend its own perceived inadequacies. A relaxed, unthreatened brain absorbs information.
And an anxious brain deflects it.
You got it.
But lowering the defenses is really just the warm-up stretch, right? Once that baseline is set, the source material pivots to tackle the single biggest barrier to any kind of growth: fear.
The fear of making mistakes.
Yeah. The script explicitly calls this out as the primary problem in learning. It zooms in on that paralyzing internal thought of, what if I make mistakes?
And notice how the dialogue handles that fear. They don't just offer empty encouragement.
Like, oh, you'll do great.
Right, they don't do that. They normalize the fear by pointing out that even native fluent speakers make mistakes all the time. They completely strip away the illusion that fluency equals flawlessness.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting to me. To combat this fear, one of the characters reveals their specific technique for building confidence.
The talking alone method.
Yes. They practice speaking completely alone in their room, using incredibly basic sentences. They literally narrate their own life out loud, saying things like, I am making tea, or I am going outside, or I feel tired today.
It sounds a bit funny when you say it like that.
Well, yeah. Standing in an empty room, talking to yourself about the fact that you are making tea sounds a bit ridiculous at first glance.
Sure.
Does removing the human element entirely actually help you learn how to talk to real humans?
It absolutely does. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this technique is deeply rooted in decoupling motor skills from social stakes.
Decoupling the motor skills.
Yeah, so when you are learning to speak a new language, or honestly, when you're learning any complex new skill, you're asking your brain to do two very difficult things simultaneously.
Okay, what are they?
First, you have to execute the physical structural mechanics. So forming the unfamiliar sounds, remembering the vocabulary, the grammar.
Right, the actual raw data of the skill.
Exactly. And second, you have to manage the social dynamics of the interaction. Reading the other person's face, worrying about judgment, trying to sound intelligent.
Oh, I see. So practicing alone separates those two monumental tasks.
It isolates the variable. When you are alone in your room narrating your actions, the social stakes drop to zero.
Because there's no audience.
Exactly. You remove the audience, which means you remove the fear of judgment. You are simply building verbal muscle memory.
So by practicing phrases like, I am making tea, in a super low-stakes environment, you allow your brain to focus entirely on the mechanics of the language.
Without the interference of social anxiety.
You know, it makes me think of rendering a 3D video.
Oh, how so?
Well, you don't start by rendering the high-resolution textures and the complex lighting shadows. You start with the basic wireframe.
Right, the underlying structure.
Yeah. If you try to render the complex shadows before the wireframe is fully built, the whole system just crashes. Talking to yourself about tea is basically building the wireframe.
That is the perfect analogy. Mastering the simple structural mechanics in private builds the necessary bandwidth to handle the complex, high-resolution social interactions in public.
But building that wireframe takes focus. And if we're looking at the reality of adult life that this script establishes, focus is usually the very first casualty of the day.
Oh, without a doubt.
The characters in our source script actually pivot to what they explicitly call a dangerous topic.
Social media.
Yes, social media. They outline a trap that, every single person listening to this deep dive has fallen into.
You open Instagram for 5 minutes.
And suddenly an entire hour is just gone.
Yep, it vanishes.
They discuss the dual nature of platforms like YouTube too. Like, on one hand, you can use it to learn amazing skills. The script specifically mentions learning English, studying business, or picking up video editing.
Which is incredibly powerful.
Totally. But on the other hand, it can be a massive black hole of pure entertainment.
So why do you think a script designed to teach English dedicates actual time to discussing the algorithm of Instagram?
To be relatable to the learner.
Relatability is the surface level. The deeper mechanism at play here is metacognition.
Thinking about your own thinking.
Exactly. When we lose an hour to scrolling, the immediate psychological response is usually guilt. We berate ourselves for lacking willpower.
Oh yeah, the shame spiral is real.
But guilt is a terrible motivator for learning. It actually triggers that same amygdala response we talked about earlier, raising the affective filter and completely shutting down the desire to study.
So by openly discussing this dynamic within the learning material itself, they're shifting the learner's response from subconscious guilt to conscious awareness.
Spot on. By naming the distraction, it moves from being a personal moral failing to a shared systemic challenge.
Because everyone deals with it.
Right. The script acknowledges that these devices are literally engineered to hijack our dopamine systems.
Having the characters openly admit that they watch both educational videos and random entertaining videos normalizes that struggle.
It acts as an accountability check that replaces shame with metacognitive monitoring.
It's like reminding the learner, hey, you'll get distracted. That doesn't mean you're a bad learner. It just means you are navigating a modern digital environment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Recognize the trap, find the balance, and just return to the wireframe.
I love that. Okay, so once you navigate that digital minefield and actually manage to focus, you need something to sustain you, right?
Motivation is key.
And the source text does something structurally brilliant here. Having grounded the conversation in the mundane realities of adult life and digital distractions, it elevates the discussion to the things that truly motivate us.
It shifts entirely from the present to the future.
Yeah, from the concrete daily grind to abstract aspirations. The characters start sharing big, vulnerable dreams.
They talk about wanting to become successful, wanting to help their family.
And a deep desire to travel. They list specific destinations too, like Turkey, England, Dubai. Seeking out new experiences and new people.
And notice what happens immediately after sharing those massive life goals.
Right, they launch into this rapid-fire bonding segment.
The quick question game.
It's so fast and just incredibly human. Tea or coffee? Tea. Morning or night? Night. Movies or podcasts?
And podcasts is cheekily called out as the very smart answer.
Naturally. They bounce back and forth about preferring movies over books, identifying as a little bit of both an introvert and an extrovert, and agreeing that music combined with sleep is the ultimate relaxation.
It's a great sequence.
So what does this all mean? To me, it feels like watching a relationship level up in real time.
In what sense? Like a video game.
Exactly. Think about the progression of this dialogue. You start at level 1, which is mastering the absolute basics. Establishing safety, talking about waking up, describing your morning tea.
You're just building the wireframe.
Yes, but once that foundation is stable, you unlock level 2. You unlock the vocabulary and the trust required to express complex, deeply personal desires. Like wanting to visit Dubai so you can eventually help your family.
That's a huge leap in vulnerability.
And then, that rapid-fire questions segment. That is the quick time event that seals the bond. It takes a basic exchange of information and transforms it into genuine rapport.
I see what you mean. You can't successfully play the rapid-fire level until you've established the safety of level 1 and the vulnerability of level 2.
Exactly. It's earned.
And this raises a really important question about the fundamental nature of motivation. Like, why do we push through the frustration of learning anything in the first place?
Because it's definitely frustrating.
It is. Transitioning from the concrete reality of our daily routines to our abstract aspirations is the ultimate goal of fluency.
Whether that's fluency in a foreign language, a new software program, or even emotional intelligence.
Precisely. We don't learn just to acquire data. The script explicitly states that dreams give motivation in life.
You literally need the vision of Dubai to get you through the reality of talking to yourself in an empty room.
The aspiration is the fuel for the routine. The psychological term for this is episodic future thinking.
Episodic future thinking.
Yeah, it's the ability to project yourself into a future scenario. When you clearly visualize that future, it shifts your motivation from extrinsic, like, say, passing a vocabulary test, to intrinsic.
Like actually changing your life circumstances.
Exactly. Intrinsic motivation is the only kind robust enough to survive the inevitable plateaus of learning.
Which brings us to the exact framework the text leaves its audience with. The dialogue concludes by distilling all of this psychology into 4 specific pillars for mastery.
The 4 rules.
And while they are framed as tips for English learners, they are actually an instruction manual for cognitive acquisition.
Let's examine the mechanics of those 4 pillars. Number 1, listen daily, noting that even just 15 minutes is beneficial.
Okay, number 2, do not fear mistakes because they accelerate learning.
Number 3, speak simple English first, abandoning the need for perfection.
And number 4, practice every day, prioritizing consistency. Okay, but I want to push back on that first one.
And the 15...
Yeah, because if I want to learn video editing or a new language or how to code, 15 minutes just feels like a drop in the bucket. We are always told we need 10,000 hours to master a skill. How does 15 minutes a day actually move the needle?
It really comes down to how the brain consolidates memory. Cramming for 4 hours on a Sunday is wildly inefficient compared to 15 minutes every single day.
Really? Even though it's technically more hours.
Yes, because of the process of neuroplasticity. The brain forming new synaptic connections relies heavily on a mechanism called spaced repetition.
Meaning the breaks are just as important as the practice.
They are crucial. When you practice for 15 minutes and then stop, your brain continues to process that information in the background.
Oh, like when your computer runs an update after you put it to sleep.
Exactly, particularly during actual sleep. By engaging with the material every single day, you're constantly signaling to your brain that this specific information is vital for survival.
Forcing it to strengthen those neural pathways.
Right. So 15 minutes respects the cognitive load limit of the learner while maximizing the biological mechanism of memory consolidation. It proves that frequency matters far more than duration.
Wow, that completely reframes the entire concept of studying for me.
It takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Totally. And what about the third pillar? The directive to speak simple English first. How does keeping things basic accelerate fluency?
That is pure cognitive load management. We mentioned earlier that trying to sound sophisticated while learning a new skill completely overwhelms your mental RAM.
Right, because you're juggling too much.
Complex vocabulary requires high retrieval effort. Your brain is working overtime just to find the word. By restricting yourself to simple words, you drastically lower that retrieval effort.
Which frees up your cognitive bandwidth to focus on the underlying structure, the grammar, the syntax, the rhythm of the interaction.
You're securing the wireframe before you add the textures.
Exactly. You know, when we are bombarded by highly curated, complex lives on social media, we often absorb this toxic idea that our efforts aren't valid unless they look sophisticated right out of the gate.
And this framework forcefully counters that. It insists that stripping away the complexity is not a sign of weakness.
It is a tactical necessity for structural mastery.
It is incredibly validating.
It really is. What we've discovered today is that a simple conversational script about morning tea, Instagram distractions, and dreaming of traveling to Turkey actually holds a robust, scientifically sound blueprint for fearless learning.
Meaningful connection and real progress do not require a massive vocabulary or flawless execution on day one.
They require the authenticity to admit when things are difficult.
They require the metacognition to navigate our distractions without shame.
And the consistency of showing up for just 15 minutes a day.
And most importantly, they require the courage to stumble and make mistakes out loud, all in the service of a bigger dream.
Beautifully said. But before we sign off, I want to leave you, the listener, with one final thought to mull over.
Or let's hear it.
We've spent this entire deep dive exploring how this script teaches connection in a foreign language by intentionally keeping things simple and stripping away the fear of looking foolish, right?
Right.
But think about your own daily interactions. Think about how often we hide behind complex jargon, corporate buzzwords, or really convoluted phrasing in our native tongues just to sound smart, protect our egos, or maintain a professional distance.
That happens all the time.
If simple, direct communication is the ultimate tool for bypassing anxiety and building genuine rapport, could applying these exact same rules make us more authentic, more impactful communicators in our own first language?
Wow. What if we stopped trying to render the complex shadows and just focused on building a solid, simple wireframe with the people around us?
Exactly. That is the ultimate application. The mechanics of human connection remain the same, regardless of the language we use to facilitate them.
It's definitely something to consider the next time you find yourself reaching for a big word when a simple one will do.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Keep questioning the basics, keep practicing, and above all, keep building your wireframe. We'll catch you next time.